Good morning, friends. Jay from Cold Nights here, and we have another episode of Coffees and Consoles. So this morning, we're trying yet another coffee from a fast food joint. I'm pretty excited. It sounds pretty tasty. And then we're going to do our NES treasure hunt, part 2, because we have this other box that we started going through yesterday with a whole bunch of NES games that I either haven't looked at for a long time or might have never looked at. So I'm excited to see what's in there. I'm excited to try this coffee. So let's get into it. So today we went with a Wendy's Frosty Vanilla Cold Brew. So apparently, based on the description on DoorDash, it is their normal coffee blend mixed with vanilla frosty. So we're going to give it a try. I definitely taste the vanilla. But it's not terrible. It is definitely not great, though. The coffee doesn't taste like it's very high quality, but the vanilla hint is nice. Let's put it this way. I wouldn't turn it down, but it's not something I would go after, like actively pursue. But it's alright. Alright, so now that we got the initial coffee tasting out of the way, and we'll have a little bit more later on. We're going to get the cough drop going, and then we're going to start looking through some NES games. I really love going through these because I honestly don't know, other than like the few I see at the top of the stack, what exactly is in all these. So it's really cool because right away we got some incredible games. So right on the top we have Deja Vu. Now, Deja Vu, Uninvited, and Shadowgate were released on the 8-Bit Adventures compilation on modern consoles, and I loved having them in that form for ease of play, but these are where my original memories with these incredible text adventures started, and I love these to death. Deja Vu is one of my all-time favorite NES games. And then, staying in that same vein, another one of my all-time favorites, Maniac Mansion. I love this game to death. I remember renting this game, and like, when this was out, I was young. I was like 6, 7 years old. So like, I didn't really know exactly what I needed to do. And back then there wasn't like a guide to look up exactly what to choose every time. So this is a fun game, but it was also kind of like tough to progress in. So it was something that you kept trying over and over again. And I remember I rented it many times, wanting to get further in it. Alright, and then we have The Adventures of Link. Always love The Adventures of Link. This one is the not silver. So, variations there. I know that's a huge, popular, fun game for some people, but other people, they don't love it as much. I know Zoo really likes that one, my good friend Zoo. So, that's pretty cool to see. And I love this. So this is Castle Shadowgate. I knew I had this one. This one I had thrown in here at some point, because I got them all from Sabres, I think. And this one actually has the manual, which I love. But this is Sabres. So I paid $10 for this probably 10 years ago. And let's see the Shadowgate manual. Take a hint for the old hotline you could call. You can order the Shadowgate hint book. As the last line of kings, only you possess the power to prevent evil warlock lord from raising the behemoth and unleashing it upon the land. Your quest lies within Castle Shadowgate with its secret passageways, collapsing floors, and armed creatures. Your courage and wisdom will see you through, but a good sword might be helpful. Love these books. So, pretty neat. We got some cool text adventures, and an awesome Zelda game like right away, so we know that this is probably going to be a good box. This is also from Sabres, and this one is Adventures in the Magic Kingdom. I'm pretty sure this is in the last box I did too. But it's cool to always have the stickers on there. So, all right. So we have a decent amount of games here. This one, I know this one was in the last one too. Another Mario Duck Hunt. That's not like a huge deal. But then we have a couple that I do not think were in there. The first one being Hogan's Alley. Always cool. That's a classic. Works with the Zapper. And then this one, still not worth a lot, but you don't see it as often. This one is Mario Brothers Duck Hunt and Track Meet. So that's pretty cool. I'm pretty sure it's still only worth like $2 or $3, but you don't see it as often. Alright, so what do we got here? I don't want to dump this box over. Alright, we got Stinger. I don't remember this one, but the cover art looks pretty cool. So, Stinger. We'll need to depend on some of our more retro enthused fans. Oh, I have like a hair flying off over here. What is happening? Ooh. There we go. Okay. Classic one. Elevator Action. That was one that I always loved as a kid too. And I love the cover art on it. So, we have like a detective or like a secret agent. That's pretty neat. And then we have Blaster Master. Blaster Master is definitely one of the cooler titles. I love the like varied gameplay. It is pretty darn neat. Okay, what do we have next? Another one, I think we also had a copy of this in the first box, RC Pro-Am. And these are your games. They're fairly common, so you'll see them a lot. But they're nice little things, and you can use them as like trade for like, you know, if someone needs some common games, you can trade that, a couple of those maybe, to get something a little more valuable. So it's always good to keep those around too. And it's good to have backup copies. You never know if, I mean, these are old cartridges, so you never know if something's not going to work, you may need a backup copy. So, here's a classic, Rad Racer. I remember, I want to say Rad Racer they had like an arcade cabinet of this at our local Bradley's department store. And I used to love playing it. And it's really cool because I remember seeing this at home. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe it wasn't Rad Racer, but a similar game. But being able to play this kind of game at home was like really cool. So those are some pretty good memories. And then we have, well, this one's looking a little rough, but Shake, Rattle, and Roll. It literally looks like it was maybe on fire at one point. Like, look at there's like burn marks on it. I mean, that could also be like, maybe someone spilled like soda on it, and that's what a 30-year-old soda stain looks like. But I don't know. It looks like it was on fire. So, a smoke-damaged Shake, Rattle, and Roll. Here's a classic. DuckTales, woo! There you go. DuckTales, love this stuff to death. These are classics. And it looks like DuckTales was $2.99 at Savers. I don't know that it's worth a ton more than that, but I have so many good memories of shopping at Savers. And again, I haven't gone in years, but when my son was younger, we used to go all the time. When he was like a toddler, it was kind of like how we spent our mornings on my days off when my wife was working and I was home. You know, we'd go out and get some breakfast, and then we'd go do some game shopping. So that was always fun. And anywhere I'd go game shopping, there's always something he could get. So I could get him some toy, it would keep him interested. And when he got a little older, he definitely got into games, and I was excited about those as well. So it worked out pretty well. And then we have David Crane's A Boy and His Blob. Trouble on Blobonia. Classic game. You definitely don't see this one in the wild quite as much, so it's pretty cool that I had this one in here. Alright, what else have we got? Archon. I think we had a copy of Archon in the last box as well. So, pretty neat. Again, it's one of those games that it's good to have multiples, because you can definitely do some trade. And when you're finding either big lots or you've collected a whole bunch of games together like this, it can't hurt to, you know, have doubles. Super Mario 2. looking cool. It's cool to see these because, like, a lot of times you won't. These will always be in a case, even if they're only $5 or $10. Like, they'll always be in a case because that's like a hot seller. Like, they don't just leave them out usually. So it's pretty cool to see this where you can pick it up either at, you know, Savers or like a yard sale. So that's pretty neat. And then we had this one in the last one too, Tetris. So we got some doubles here. We'll get over it though. Sesame Street 1, 2, 3. I would actually like to play this and like see. And this one has Astro Grover, a beginning math game, and Ernie's Math Shapes, a shape and color matching game. I'm curious to see because like I was obviously when this was out, I was, or at least when I was playing them, I was past the age where you would be interested in this. So I'd be curious to see what it's like. Okay, what do we got next? WrestleMania. I think the last one we had WrestleMania Challenge. So I think this is actually the first one. And it still has those savers. So I was, at some point about 10 or 15 years ago, I was picking up a ton of games at Savers. But it's pretty neat. Pretty neat to go there. I haven't been in a long time. I don't know if they still have a lot of games. And if like a lot of places, they probably wised up. And they're probably going to eBay and looking at sold listings and stuff for this all the time. So you're never going to catch them slipping or find a deal. It's still worth checking. You never know. But I think the likelihood of that's gone way down. Gumshoe. Another one you don't see a lot. I don't know if it's super valuable, but pretty cool to see Gumshoe. And then we have, ooh, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? The good old, is it LJN? Yes, it is. LJN licensed games, baby. I used to love watching the YouTuber LJN Defender. You know, he did away with his channel and stuff, but was great stuff. Great stuff. Back in the day when I first got into YouTube. The Goonies 2. I remember when I first saw this, I'm like, there's a second one? I didn't realize they made another Goonies game. I think this one is a little bit more valuable. I don't think it's like a super valuable game, but pretty cool. Oh, another classic. Paperboy. And we look at like Paperboy like a very common game, and this one's very clean. Like, this looks so clean, I almost feel like it might be like a reproduction. But it seems legit, but like, wow, this label is like perfect. But a lot of these games, like, we look at them as common games, but they weren't launch titles. So, like, as a kid, I didn't own Paperboy. So, like, I did rent Paperboy quite a lot from the local store. So they were still games that were exciting to rent and play, even if they're something we see as very common now. Back then, on a Friday night, when my mom and dad would take me to the local, you know, rental dive, I was still excited to see if they had games like Paperboy, you know, that they weren't rented out. I don't think we used the term in stock back then. It was just kind of like, do you have this? And I remember calling, like, I would have my dad call and be like, hey, do you have this? And they would check to see if it's rented out or not, because I wanted to know. And I didn't, maybe if there was really nothing I wanted, I didn't want to go. So, because for us, cool story time. So, growing up, like, we had home food, home cooked meals during the week all the time. But on Friday and Saturday, we usually, those are the 2 times a week we would eat out, because we'd have family over. So like my aunts and uncles or cousins or whatever would come over, and they always played cards and stuff, the adults, and the kids would play together. And even if the other kids didn't come, like, they'd be downstairs playing cards, and I'd be up there with my cousins, or even by myself if the kids didn't show up. And so I would either get to rent a movie or a video game, and sometimes both. And I loved getting out of school Friday and knowing that at some point in the afternoon we were going to go. Our local place is called CinemaScope, and knowing that we were going to go there, because that was before like a Blockbuster had come to town, because we eventually did get a Blockbuster, and we got a Video Update, which later was Movie Scene. But back in the day it was just CinemaScope, and it was like a local place, and I loved going because I would rent a game, and sometimes I also got to rent a movie. And I always rented either a wrestling event, So I would either rent like a SummerSlam or a Survivor Series or Royal Rumble, or, and this is crazy, you know, I'm 6 or 7, but my parents let me get horror movies. So, you know, I could rent Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, and I thought it was so cool. And this was for years, so this is up till I was like 10 or 11 when these stores are still around. And I thought it was so cool to watch horror movies or wrestling events and then go play video games with my cousins and stuff. So it was super fun. The weekend was always great. So, but yeah, a little story time. And we're going to have another sip of our mediocre but still coffee. Vanilla Frosty Cold Brew. Okay. Next up we have golf. And this one I might have paid too much for, $3.99. I highly doubt that's worth $3.99 still. It's one of the Black Label sports games. So, I don't know. And you can always tell they have the little, like, denoter, and that one says Sports Series. So, always fun. Alright, and then we have Dodgeball. And this one's got quite a lot of history on it. So, this is in a 3 for $10 bin, or $5 for one. And then this one had void stickers on it. You can see them over here too. Some places did that for warranty, and some places did that for rental. But it's pretty interesting to see those stickers on the games. I highly doubt Dodgeball is like a huge title, so I'm not too worried about dropping the value. But it's cool to see that. Yoshi! This is a cool one to have. These games are fun. I remember I was playing, I want to say this was on the NSO, and I was playing this like a couple months ago. So I might have to pop this into the Retron and play it on the actual cart. It's not in terrible condition. The thing you gotta watch with a lot of these is the adhesive wasn't great on some of these, so you actually start to see them come up at the corners. The labels will start peeling. You gotta watch out for that. We do have like a little price sticker on the back that has faded. I could probably use Goo Gone to get that off after I peeled it. Alright, we only have a couple more. This is awesome. Great memories. Metal Gear. Love it. The beginning. The beginning of a legendary series. And I think we only get this one left. And that is, I believe, another extreme favorite of Zoo and my good friend Rush. And that is Crystallis. I know that I've got a couple comments when I've done NES things where I was going through boxes and stuff. People are like, you gotta get Crystallis if you don't have it. Well, I have it. It's right here. We'll have to definitely try that one out. So, yeah, a good haul. It's not a new haul, but still a good, you know, set of NES games that I've gone through. I will scan them later and make sure they're all put in the game. I think that's the last of my unsorted ones. I may have a dresser drawer that has some NES games in it. Like, and when I say that, I don't mean like there's a couple NES games under some clothes. I mean, it's probably the whole drawer. But I want to say they were common, and they might already be logged in my collection. So I'll have to check that out. Maybe we'll have a little more NES content. And I definitely would love to, putting all these games back in the box. I definitely would love to do some streams, maybe, where I kind of do a variety stream, where I go through and try all these different NES cartridges. And I think it would be real fun to do it physically and not just on NSO, because you could actually see me like struggle through trying to make them fit. Not fit, I mean work, you know, doing the old, oh, don't blow on it. We'll get comments in there, oh my god, he's blowing on them. It works. I know why you shouldn't do it, but it still works. You need to, see, I believe that you should, and you need to just make sure you're not spitting when you're doing it. That's the big thing. They'll be like, oh, it's still microscopic spit. Stop it. I mean, obviously it's best if you have like your Q-tip with a little bit of isopropyl, but if you don't have that, maybe a gentle couple breaths into the cartridge, making sure there's no spit, can still work. So, guys, I appreciate you coming out. Once again, the Wendy's Vanilla Frosty Cold Brew. I didn't put anything in it, but I would think with the Vanilla Frosty I wouldn't need to, because that should be milky and sugary enough. But yeah, I don't recommend this one. So they can't all be winners. And I think out of 13 or 14 episodes, that's the first time I've been like, I don't know. So, but, I mean, it will do. If you need to wake up and that was all that was available, it certainly would suffice. But I appreciate everyone coming out. I hope you guys are enjoying the series. I hope you will like, comment, and subscribe. So, once again, I hope everyone has a great week. And, as always, stay creepy. Bye, guys.